What's up? This is Twisted Nick, and today we're going to be taking a look at A Boy and His Blob on NES. Let's check it out. Alright, so here's the title screen, and what does this remind you of right away? That's right. Everything is just like Indiana Jones in this title screen. The text, the music, everything resembles Indiana Jones. Also, the game designer felt it was necessary to put his name on the title screen. David Crane. Wait, you mean the same David Crane that created the hit sitcom Friends created this game? Well, no. It's a different David Crane. Anyway, let's play it. Okay, so basically, you're a boy wearing a green shirt and blue pants, and all of a sudden a white blob comes to your house, and for whatever reason, you decide to make it your pet. The blob asks you to save his planet, called Blobonia, from the evil monster that lives there now. It's a pretty good story. I mean, it's no Edgar Allan Poe tale, but it works well for the game. There's no cutscene or anything like that. So you have to read up in the manual to find out the story that I just told you. You use these jelly beans to make him turn into something that you can use to get through the game. For example, a strawberry jelly bean turns him into a bridge, and the cinnamon jelly bean turns him into a flamethrower, similar to how Meatwad transforms into things.
Hot dog?
Anyway, the gameplay is pretty fun, though the controls do have some problems. First of all, you can't jump, which can sometimes be a bit awkward when you're in a tight situation. Also, you can't make your blob move to certain areas. The only way to get him to move wherever you want is to turn him into an item that you can pick up and drop, such as an umbrella or the flamethrower. Other than that, though, the controls are alright. They become way easier once you figure out what jelly beans do what, which you'll be able to pick up pretty quickly. It's not really too difficult of a game, though some parts are a bit tricky, but it's nothing too major. It's a pretty fun game the first time you play it. However, after a couple of days of playing, it gets boring pretty soon. This is the type of game that you'll pick up and play every once in a while, so it doesn't have the best replay value. The graphics are pretty good for an NES game. The backgrounds are detailed and pretty colorful for the most part. The sprites are also fairly detailed, and even the blob has its own facial expressions. The worms and other enemies are pretty realistic looking, with the exception of the boy having a ponytail and looking like a girl. Overall, the graphics are well done in the game. One other thing you'll notice while you play is the lack of sound. There's only like one tune during the game, and that's the only thing you hear during the first level. There's no sound effects, no nothing. Just straight up music. There are also a few other tracks, but they're not anything special. As for the main track that plays through the first level, it's pretty catchy and gets stuck in your head after playing. So it's a pretty good track overall. I also noticed that some of the game developers' names are graffitied in the background of the game. There's David Crane, who you already know and love as the game's creator and designer. Also, we have Jesse Capelli, who is the game's graphic designer, and Rick Booth, who's credited with technical wizardry. That's pretty random. I guess they were really proud of their work. There's way more you can find along the way. What's this? Absolute Avenue? Well, that's interesting, seeing that Absolute Entertainment was the one that made this game. This is a pretty long game for NES standards. Plus, you can't save, and if you lose all your lives, you have to start all over again, just like in Silver Surfer. But here, it's not as bad because you don't have a million freaking things trying to kill you. But it still makes the challenge level go up. The game doesn't last long in terms of playing it a lot, since there's nothing worth doing after you beat it once. No rewards, no nothing. So, like I said before, there's barely any replay value to it. Overall, it's a pretty good game. I mean, the novelty of it wears off after like the first time you play, but it's still a pretty good game though, when you first get it. It's more of a kiddie game than anything, but still, check it out. There was also a version on Game Boy, So just for an added bonus, let's check it out. This one's called David Crane's The Rescue of Princess Blobette. I guess David Crane felt really proud this time since he felt it was necessary to put his name in the title of the game. It's still basically the same game though, except it's much worse. Mainly because of how broken the controls are. They're so bad that I can't even explain it. It's just something you have to experience for yourself. As for the graphics, they're terrible. I know it takes a lot of work to design sprites that actually look good for a Game Boy, but here it doesn't even feel like there was that much effort put into it. The characters are a bit boring. The boy just looks weird, especially when he's moving since the animations are really unsmooth. The Blob looks weird, but at least he has an excuse for it. But anyway, the music isn't that bad, but it does get pretty old after a while though. Overall, it's just a crappier version of the NES game. I can't believe David Crane put his name all over this. But hey, what are you gonna do? So overall, A Boy and His Blob is a pretty good game on the NES. So if you ever see it anywhere, then pick it up sometime. It's pretty good. As for the Game Boy game, if you ever see this game anywhere, just smash it. Alright, smash it into a million tiny little pieces. Because that piece of filth does not need to be polluting this planet. Alright? So I'm Twisted Nick, and I'll see you later.